I would now request Mr. Amal Sinha, Director of BSES Delhi, to come and address the audience. Thank you, sir.
So today it's a great pleasure to be here with all of you this morning. I with Mr. Om Rothray, Dr. Tipta Thakur, His Excellency Mr. Riaz Hamidullah, High Commissioner of Bangladesh to India, Mr. Tim Curtis, Mr. Sankalp Vishnu, and Ms. Tanushri Bhomik, all my distinguished guests here, ladies and gentlemen. I went through the agenda, and interestingly, it said that I have to speak for 17 minutes. So, to that precision, we are looking at. So, I was thinking that I must be well prepared. And I spent some time yesterday to put my notes together. And I would request you to give some patience here. I'm just going to read out my thoughts. Let me begin by thanking the organizers of ICA Weekend 2026 for inviting me to be part of this very thoughtful and distinctive gathering. The Indian culinary agenda has created a rare and important platform, one that brings together food, culture, policy, research, and public discourses with seriousness and imagination. That is both very timely and valuable. ICA Weekend was conceived as a serious forum connecting writers, researchers, innovators, policymakers, and industry around food, and this year's edition carries that vision forward with great relevance. This year's theme, Street Food as a Lens to Culture, Policy, and Migration, is especially compelling because street food is never just about what is served on a plate. It is a lens into culture because it carries memories, identity, and local pride. It is a lens into migration because recipes travel with people, communities settle in new places, and their food gradually becomes part of a city's character. And it is a lens into policy because livelihoods, vending spaces, hygiene, regulation, infrastructure, and urban planning all shape together how this ecosystem survives and grows. In India, street food is one of the most vivid expressions of everyday civilization. It is democratic, adaptive, and deeply social. It is where enterprise meets emotion and where a city reveals its most honestly. A plate of chaat, a dosa, or on a busy pavement, a kebab in a market lane, or a cup of chai at a street corner. All these are not merely food items. They are living stories of labor, movement, migration, assimilation, and aspiration of the people of this country. Street food also tells us something profound about India itself. Ours is a civilization that absorbs, adapts, and enriches. Communities move, but flavors travel with them. A recipe born in one region acquires a new accent in another. A migrant's meal becomes a city's favorite. In that sense, street food is not only a culinary category, it is a map of India's social journey. Take Punjab chole bhature. Now, if I go to East, they are very fond of looking into chole bhature. Any part of India you go, more than what we see in North. Chole bhature has become very popular. When I came to Delhi in 1970, I'm here since 1970, the Bengali rasgullas were not so good. They were very, very sweet. But today you find very good locations where you can have very good Bengali rasgullas and sandesh. Similarly, when we came here in 1970, nobody knew about the Chhat Puja. Nobody knew about the Litti Chokha. I come from Bihar. And now, it is something which people talk about it. They want to eat it. So over a period of time, as myself, I can say I migrated from Bihar. I acquired the local culture and I brought something from Bihar. And that is how the migration and the food, travels, which I was trying to summarize earlier. Each tells a larger story of movement and assimilation. Food travels with people, settles in new places, and over time becomes part of a city's shared taste and identity. I never knew when I was eating a golgappa recently that it comes from a place called Madhubani in Bihar. Originally, it was, prepared there. So you actually don't know many of the things which you eat, where it has originated. I think we have people like Om and Tanushri who can tell us in times to come. That is why this theme matters so much. At first glance, one may ask, where does a power utility fit into a conversation of street food? And that is what I was wondering yesterday, that with this August audience, how do I build a bridge between my business and the culinary agenda which we have today? But I found that the connection is very natural. I'll just try to summarize my thoughts here. At BSES, as you know, we are a power distribution company, and we are a company which actually gives life to the city in terms of electricity, what we provide. Electricity is not now merely a utility service, it is a foundational enabler of modern urban life. It powers home, schools, hospital, public transport, markets, enterprises, and digital services. It also powers food businesses, the restaurants, cloud kitchens, food processing, storage of food items, lighting of food items, ventilation, and other wider commercial ecosystem that sustains a city's food culture. If food gives city its flavor, energy gives that city its momentum, its life. That is why BSCS sees a meaningful connection and an opportunity of collaboration with the culinary ecosystem, not only as a provider of reliable electricity, but as a committed partner in building a cleaner, more efficient, and more future ready Delhi. At BSCS, we have consistently worked to strengthen and modernize Delhi power network, make consumer services more digital and accessible, and promote energy conservation. We believe sustainability cannot remain a slogan on the sidelines. It must become a part of the main framework of development, and that principle applies as much to the food ecosystem as it does to the power sector. And that is where we connect with the culinary ecosystem. In fact, if one looks closely, street food is also a lens into everyday enterprise. Behind every cart, stall, kiosk, dhaba, and small kitchen lies a practical ecosystem of fuel, energy, safety, cost, efficiency, and sustainability. It is also a reminder that safer cooking and safer electrical practices are essential not only for continuity of business but for protecting lives, livelihoods, and public spaces. And that is why one part of today's program is especially significant. This year, the ICA Spotlight addresses the cooking fuel challenge in Indian commercial cooking through a panel on clean and alternative cooking solutions for commercial kitchens, including the exploration of LPG alternatives for the food industry. That is a timely and necessary conversion. In fact, just recently we were discussing in a forum because of the West Asia crisis that how energy security can be there in our kitchens and how electrical gadgets can be used for cooking and how we can promote that. So the time also teaches us and gives us an opportunity, as we move forward in life. Because of those who cook for a living, whether in a restaurant kitchen, a food outlet, or a small commercial setup, energy is not a background input. It is central to the enterprise itself. It shapes cost, efficiency, safety, consistency, and sustainability. And as India's food economy expands, the question of cooking fuel and energy efficiency will become even more important. The future of food cannot be separated from the future of energy. In the power sector, we speak of efficiency, optimization, resolution, and demand management. In the culinary world, the language may be different, preparation time, heat control, consistency in quality and service. But the underlying principle is remarkable, similar. Performance improves when systems are well managed, well integrated, waste is minimized, and efficiency becomes second in nature. We cannot think about the future of street food in isolation from the future of cities themselves. If street vendors, neighborhood kitchens, restaurants, and food enterprises are part of a living fabric of urban India, then the system that supports them, energy, safety, public spaces, and policy, must evolve with equal seriousness. This is why forums like ICA Weekend are so valuable. ICA Weekend 2026 brings together more than 100 voices from the Indian food knowledge and policy ecosystem. That kind of cross sector dialogue is exactly what our times demand. I would like to acknowledge the screening today of the short film on small dairy owners of Delhi, made by ICA and Delhi Food Walks with support from BSES. That too is meaningful because behind every sector and every supply chain are real people whose transitions deserve visibility. Let me conclude with this. Street food teaches us that cities are not built by infrastructure alone. They are built by people, by movement, by enterprise, by memory, and by the genius of everyday life. To understand street food is to understand something essential about culture, policy, and migration, but also about dignity, livelihood, and urban belonging. I congratulate Indian culinary agenda, the mastermind behind it, Om and Tanushri. I've become a fan of both of them, by the way, for curating a platform of such depth and relevance. At BSES, we are proud to support conversations that combine sustainability with public purpose, and I'm confident that ICA Weekend 2026 will generate meaningful dialogue and fresh thinking for the future. Thank you very much.